Welcome to Mojo Talks. I'm Eric, and today joining me I have Manny and Rebecca. How you guys doing?
Not too bad yourself.
Very good.
We're good. We're talking about hype because last week, Rebecca, you reviewed A Wrinkle in Time, and your take was that the movie suffered from its own hype. And so we figured we'd make some lists of movies that didn't live up to the hype and another list of movies that did live up to the hype. Let's get right to it. What happened with A Wrinkle in Time?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's based on a beloved book series. So immediately there's going to be a lot of expectations going. I think expectations, I mean, you build your own hype for a movie to a certain extent, and I think that was the case with this one. But there were external factors, which I think the casting of the three Mrs. W's, Oprah, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling, I think they were trying to build some organic hype, you know, with their social media feeds, but also, and the press tour, which
But they weren't a big part of the movie.
No, they
right?
weren't a big part of the movie. I mean, they were, but they weren't in it as much as I expected them to be. And I've actually been enjoying the press tour more than I enjoy the movie. But I feel like, you know, you go to see the movie because Oprah's in it. What are you gonna do?
Well, you know, unless she becomes president and you get to watch.
Oh
her
my
State
God!
of
If
the
she gave
Unions.
speeches like that, like she gives in A Wrinkle in Time as president, everyone would just be a happier person.
But you bring up a good point. That hype, okay, it's either created organically or often it's created synthetically, I guess. You know, it's a corporate strategy to get people interested. And so when you have things like this, or you know, if it's somehow mixed in with a marketing campaign at McDonald's, and you get you know, the action figures or something like that, like quite often the hype is external, and it's impossible to live up to that fever pitch.
That reminds me a lot of what they did with the original Highlander movie. They wouldn't greenlight the movie unless they had a massive celebrity on.
Yeah.
And they went and they spent a quarter of their budget for Sean Connery to be in the movie, just so they could use his name and him being in that movie on all the marketing material.
Right.
And
They
that only
nailed that
appeared.
casting.
Yeah, and they only in that. And what's funny is that on the original posters, all that marketing only appealed to in the European market.
It didn't even come out here?
Because in the American poster, it was just a close-up of Christopher Lambert's face, and it said Highlander. And then, like, everybody's like, why did we pay all this money for Sean Connery in it?
Well, okay, let's look at some of the entries on this list. We're not going to give too much of it away because the list is forthcoming.
No, but what I will say is that aside from A Wrinkle in Time, although you could say A Wrinkle in Time is, they're all either sequels or part of a beloved franchise or universe.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
you know, because it's expectations,
Yeah,
right?
so
Your
I think
own
expectations worked against every single movie here.
Okay, Batman versus Superman. Manny.
Terrible.
But what happened there? Why?
What happened there is I think that they really well, originally this was supposed to be Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
And then it became, let's put Batman in it to set up the Justice League. And then it's like, hey, you know, it'd be really cool if Batman would fight Superman. And then they're like...
But that did happen in the comics,
It
didn't
did happen in the comics. They said it was heavily inspired by The Dark Knight, which was a comic that I think came out in like the mid-'80s, which kind of turned Batman on his head. And, you know, it's like, oh, he's old now and he's angry at everything. And Superman's the only
He
one
was
that could
always
stop
angry
him.
at everything.
But again, in the marketing, it's like, hey, this is Batman versus Superman. It's going to be the most epic fight. It's going to happen. They're going to fight. They're going to fight. And then the total fight time, I think, was like 6 to 8 minutes in a 2-hour and 10-minute movie where you're like, what happened here?
I don't even want to see them fight. I want to see them work together.
I know.
But interestingly enough, what was the best thing to come out of that was Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
And there was a movie that didn't have the same, you know, the result.
Yeah, but it should have had the hype.
It should have had that, and it got the hype afterwards.
I just think why people weren't hyped about
Because
Wonder
it's a
Woman
DC movie?
was because it was a Warner Brothers DC movie. Because I really feel with these DC movies, I know that we're kind of hard on them here, and we all like DC, get it right. I don't think it's DC's mistakes. I really think this is like Warner Brothers is to blame on the way they just handle their films. So because we had Batman versus Superman, which was really flat, and Jesse Eisenberg. So like, when Wonder Woman came out,
terrible performances by otherwise good actors.
Jesse
He
Eisenberg.
may be on there, wink, wink.
Oh, could be.
But yeah, I think it was just like how Batman vs. Superman was such a letdown. And so was Suicide Squad, that they're like, is Wonder Woman even going to be good? And then it ended up being very good, except for the third act. And yeah.
Manny with the hot takes.
Some of the others on this list, we're not going to give away too many, but we mentioned Batman vs. Superman, A Wrinkle in Time. There's Alien 3, X-Men Last
Alien
Stand.
3. Oy.
I don't
Both
even
of
want
those,
to talk
yeah.
about Brett Ratner as a director. Cause
Right.
he's
Or a human being.
As a human being, as a
right.
director, he is just terrible.
The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions are also on there. Because the first Matrix was such a huge hit. How do you live up to that?
Actually, I just rewatched it on the weekend. I was telling you this before. It's got this gritty, real-world feel to it, you know, with like the music and like this underground hackers type of lifestyle. And I find all of that is just like,
Out the window.
it doesn't matter because in number 2, everything's polished and pristine and, you know, everybody's wearing these amazing, all the clothing, the fashion. And I feel like
But the car chase.
the car chase on the highway in Reloaded was something like,
I don't even know how this trilogy ends. Like, I don't get it. I have
Yeah.
watched the movies. I don't even know.
Let's talk about some of the upcoming movies, because there is a lot of hype right now on Solo, but you're not buying it.
I'm not buying the hype on Solo. Ron Howard has made some good movies, and he's made some great movies. And I think that this is going to be a movie, after you watch it, you're like, all right, it was not a disaster.
But I
And-
feel like they're lowering expectations
Yeah, if that's the
already. I
bar.
feel like the
Purpose?
hype, yes, because I don't know, because I keep getting the vibe that Alden Ehrenreich has the charisma of like a paper towel.
Paper towel.
That's a good example. But I really think like we didn't need a Han Solo movie. I feel like there's other stories you could tell. You could go further back in the timeline,
Yeah, but I
create
think you
some
made a
new
good
characters.
point before, saying that it kind of does a disservice to the character.
It does a
because
disservice
he's,
to the
like,
character
mysterious.
because the whole point was like, oh, he used to be this, you know, scruffy-looking nerve herder, but now he's like, you know, he's like, oh, he's cool, you know, and he did the right thing. So who cares about his past? So I don't want to see him be basically, I don't want to see Han Solo be a douche. I don't want a whole movie based on him being a douchebag.
There's a
Han
great
Solo's
example.
always a douche. That's his thing.
No, but he's like a cool douche. He's like a cool douche that you're like, hey, you know, I'll buy this guy a beer, you know?
All right, what about Ready Player One? Is that going to live up to the hype?
I don't know. Okay, so Dan told me to read the book. He's like, you're gonna love it. It's got all sorts of references, which I hated. And I was like, well, do you think I'm an idiot? Anyway, and I think the references will work for and against it. It'll get butts in the seats. It'll get my butt in the seat because I feel like it's as close to Back to the Future 4 as I'm ever gonna get, hopefully.
It's gonna get my butt in the seat because
Yeah.
it's Steven Spielberg finally like doing another fun fantasy type of
80s
cool
movie.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
with references all the stuff he did in the 80s.
But if they don't pull it off, then it will be a huge problem.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nostalgia, I mean, I actually think it will, knock on wood.
Okay. Yeah, I have a good feeling. I'm going to be reviewing it, so you know we'll have the official word. Let's talk about good hype. Let's talk about the other list we have coming out about movies that did live up to the hype. Anything on there that speaks to you directly, Rebecca?
I think Jurassic Park is low,
Yeah.
and it's high, but it's low.
It's high. Okay, you're very being very coy there. So
Yeah.
it's not the top spot, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. That you think?
I think that Terminator 2 is way too low on the list.
That's true.
Terminator 2 is probably one of the greatest action movies.
Yeah.
But
I
again,
mean-
a lot of these are also beloved franchises.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost,
Except for one.
Almost exclusively. And there is a Star Wars movie on there. We won't say which one. There's a Star Wars movie on the other list as well. And so we want to know what you guys think. Movies that are overhyped, movies that are underhyped, movies that you're excited about that you think will work, movies that you think won't work. And thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll talk to you next time.